The driver's seat is presented by Ray Reese Volkswagen and Portland's Hyundai, Portland's #1 VW dealer, and Portland's newest Hyundai dealer. Now let's climb into the driver's seat on Miles Around Television.
In our driver's seat is the 2008 Suzuki XL7. Now, Suzuki have been around a while. 1909 is when the company were born, and they are one of the fastest growing auto manufacturer companies in the world. The XL7 is Suzuki's flagship, and it's made in Ontario, Canada, along the same lines as the Equinox, the Torrent, and the View. The difference about the XL7 is that it comes with actually a third row of seat option in the back. Now, the XL7 is also a very good off-road vehicle, and I've had the opportunity to drive it through the snow, and it definitely did perform. The jewel in the crown of the XL7 is it comes with that 100,000-mile warranty.
Among the laundry list of attributes that can be listed over the Suzuki XL7, there are several that I want to point out before we dive into each part of this vehicle. One is that warranty that Nick talked about, and a great powertrain that makes the car drive very spiritedly. Now, when you dive into the interior, you're looking at an interior that's well thought out. Lots of space and lots of storage compartments for, say, your watch or wallet or things you want to stow on the interior. But the other is the way that everything is wrapped together as a great package at a great price. That's one of the strengths of this vehicle. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look inside, but right now we're going to take a look under the hood.
Underneath the hood of the 2008 Suzuki XL7, you'll find a 3.6-litre V6, which is designed by GM but is made by Suzuki in Japan.
Mentioning the numbers on the V6 Nick just talked about, it's 252 horsepower and 243 pounds-feet of torque. And I have to say, from my own experience, a very light-hearted engine. What I mean by that is it feels zippy. It doesn't feel like it's bogged down by the weight of the vehicle. Now, it all drives through a 5-speed automatic transmission, whether you get the front-wheel drive only model or, as we tested here, the all-wheel drive model. Now, something to note about that all-wheel drive system is it actually drives the power to the front wheels most of the time, but under the right circumstances can drive up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels for better traction in adverse conditions. Now, it does come with independent suspension in the front, a live axle in the back, and 4-wheel analog brakes as standard. Now, the thing about this vehicle is also it's engineered for a very quiet ride. I have to mention two things before we get out of this segment. One is it's very quiet on the freeway. The other is 16 and 22 are the EPA miles per gallon rating. Myself, I got close to 20 driving it, well, like I stole it. Now, I try to mention something about performance each time we close out the mechanics of any of the vehicles we test, but I want to make mention the way that this vehicle makes an attribute, though something that's old school, something work within today's technology. It's a live rear axle. Now, a lot of sport utilities go to independent rear suspension for advanced ride quality. Suzuki's done a great job of tuning the rear suspension in this vehicle to give it great ride and actually a decent amount of towing power. This vehicle can actually tow 3,500 pounds, which is enough for a small boat or even a couple of jet skis, maybe even a sand toy, still get it out where it needs to go and not worry about the ride that you give up on the highway. I think it's something to make mention of because this vehicle does it very well.
The 2008 Suzuki XL7 has unique stylings from the other vehicles that are made on the same line in Ontario, Canada, because the exterior was designed by Suzuki and it fits along with their other vehicles into a whole line of design. Now, this vehicle on the side has some very sharp and poignant portions. Also, the wheel wells look defined and they have those very thin lines around them, which makes them stand out. A lot of times you see larger and more bold wheel wells. On this vehicle, they're kind of slim and with very small lines, which makes the car look like it goes faster than it actually does.
Now, one of the best parts of the exterior styling of the XL7 has got to be this front end grille. Though they didn't go over the top and put big fender flares on it like Nick just mentioned, they did something very smart. They made it look refined. Now, we're talking about a vehicle that has a very low entry base price and really isn't all that much money compared to some of its competitors when you're talking about fully loaded models. But it looks more expensive than it really is. A nice use of chrome, nice use of depth within the colors and texture in the front end make the XL7 look like more than it really is.
Taking a look look at the interior of the Suzuki XL7, the interior is not as exciting as the exterior. Remember, this vehicle is made in Canada, Ontario at a GM plant, and the interior is made by GM. Now, it looks like a very GM vehicle. It has the GM stereo and the other components on the inside that you'd recognize from some of the other GM vehicles. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but this vehicle is so advanced to Suzuki-ized on the outside, and I did say Suzuki-ized. On the interior, it just seems very plain, and I'd like to see it spruced up a little bit. Gauges are laid out well. The window controls are actually in the center console, which is slightly different, and the shifter is slightly high on the dash, but apart from that, the vehicle is as standard as you'd expect.
When it comes to the interior of the Suzuki XL7, a couple things definitely come to the top of my mind. The first one is going to be interior room. Now, whether you're 5'4" like my friend in the driver's seat or 6'2", my height, you're going to find a comfortable position to sit. Great hip, shoulder, and headroom give this vehicle the sense that it's much larger than it really is. The other thing I'm going to mention is safety. 4 5-star ratings when it comes to crash protection. Now, a lot of vehicles out there give you the claim that they're safe. This vehicle has proved it in independent studies. Now, for me, I think that's very important, and definitely to the buyer and those who have families are definitely going to look at that as an attribute.
Now we've come to the part in the show when we talk about our 2 ups and 1 down for this, the 2008 Suzuki XL7. And I have to say right off the bat, one of my ups is that the Suzuki have done an overall fabulous job with this vehicle. It has to come in the top 10 of the vehicles I've looked at this year. Not only is it an excellent price, but this vehicle also is well designed and usable. So let's get to the specific 2 ups. First of all, let's talk about the price for what you get. Pound for pound, this is one of the best vehicles I've seen on the street in 2008. My second up for the vehicle is the performance of the all-wheel drive unit. This thing got me out of snow when I was in trouble, it got me through mud, and also going up hills that were covered in ice. I have to tell you that for the price, again, this is a very, very well-engineered vehicle. My down for the vehicle is, on the interior, it seems to be very GM-like and very plain. Suzuki did an awesome job of designing the outside, making it their own, but on the inside, I find it a bit generic with the other vehicles that are produced on the same line.
When it comes to my 2 ups and 1 down for the Suzuki XL7, they're pretty easy for me to pinpoint. The first one's going to be the power. The 252 horsepower V6 has a ton of torque, and in the world of small sport utilities laden with 4 cylinders that are worked too hard to push around this size of vehicle, this is the perfect application of a great V6. My other up is going to be the overall value and somewhat mirror what Nick just said. When you're talking about a vehicle that has this much on the standard vehicle price list and that 100,000-mile warranty, you have to go to something used and then pay for a warranty to get this much value for your purchased dollar. Now, when it comes to a downside, I'm again going to remark on what Nick just said. He talked about the blandness in the interior. I'm going to talk about the noise. Now, overall, it's pretty quiet on the interior, but between the front seat and that optional 3rd row seat, there's a great disparity in interior noise. That 3rd row in the back sounds like you're in a wind tunnel. Now, it might just be the fact that you're sitting on the rear fender wells, but for me, it's pretty noisy in the back. That's going to complete our review of the 2008 Suzuki XL7. The 2008 Suzuki XL7 comes standard with a 3.6-liter 24-valve V6 and a 5-speed automatic transmission. The base price is $23,699 and the as-tested price of $24,899. EPA rating in the city is 16. EPA rating in the highway is 22.
The driver's seat is brought to you by Ray Reese Volkswagen. Family owned and specializing in Volkswagens for over 15 years. And proudly presenting the all-new Portland Hyundai. Check them out at rayreese.com. Miles Around Television is brought to you by Baxter Auto Parts. With 4 warehouses stocked full of parts ready to ship, Baxter Auto Parts can get you the parts you need when you need them. Buy with confidence from Baxter Auto Parts. Check them out at baxterautoparts.com.